back to Bergisch land on FS19. So this is our Maize Plus proper seasons playthrough, because we haven't got any of that in FS22 yet. So up at the lumber mill, loading up the wood chips that we sorted creating last time. Going to get those loaded up, taken down to the yard to bed up the cows with. So I had thought we were going to be limited to just doing a bunch of forestry on here through the winter, because I had forgotten that we can spread compost and slurry during the winter. That hopefully means we can also do manure and digestate, because we have a fair bit of all of those. So we're going to be working on getting our grass fields and our fields that are going to be planted with alfalfa and clover and things all fertilised as much as we can with the supply of natural fertiliser we have on hand, because if you may or may not remember, we're not using any chemical based fertilisers or herbicides or anything on here. This is our organic precision farm. So while I'm loading up, just if you're new to the channel, think about clicking on that subscribe button. Leave me a comment and a like, that would really help out. Things are growing really well at the moment, actually. Less so with these FS19 videos. They're doing noticeably worse than the FS22 content that I'm doing, but hey, I'm enjoying it, so tough for now. As I've said, when we get a good mod map, one of these series might go. Probably West Texas, because that doesn't have seasons either. Maize Plus, so that's a lot like playing FS22, just on a really big scale. And there are some American maps on the way, so we may switch to one of those for the type of farming that we're doing on there. Yeah, it looks like we're loaded up. We can leave that there. Let's just check on the status of the sawmill. It's all okay. Still got 45,000 litres to process. And this gives us a few thousand litres of wood chips to bed up the cows, because, again, if you're new to this series, we are using wood chips to bed the cows up. Not looked yet about whether you can do that in FS22. I might have a play with that, because that would be quite interesting. So I will see you back over at the farm. Here we are back on our little farm. I've already taken care of the horses this morning. They are not kept here, they are kept off at a separate site, but they give us a nice little bit of income every day, thanks partly to the horse helper, although I am now sure that that is not working properly and our horses are not being ridden, so we might need to have a word with our helper that's coming in. We need to open the door, get the wood chips in, and try and back this into that gap. So, there we go. It does fit. There we go. I'm going to tip. Just gone too far. Probably take all of these, I suspect, but that will last us a couple of days and give us time to make more wood chips. The lumber mill is not really keeping up with our need for wood chips on here. Now it's going to be about a day's worth, and we need to do some serious feed mixing now. So I must have neglected feeding them properly yesterday, or it's where it's got cold. So I didn't see if they needed more water. We'll open that up again and run through. So we need to clean them as well. We'll start off with mixing some feed up, I think. So we need a couple of grass silage bales. Can I get them both? There we go. A little bit heavy for this, but we'll be okay. So yeah, using Maize Plus on here, and have a custom animal food additions file, which I think is available on the Maize Plus Discord. I think I uploaded it on there. And I have a might not be actually. I'll have to have a look. I know I have uploaded one, but it may not be this one. But yeah, so on top of being chemical free, so we're only using natural fertilizers, we're also grain free for our animals. So they're getting a mixture of grasses and mineral and root crops for the cow anyway. So we also need to remember to take some hay over to the sheep. That should be close to the TMR mix. But we do have a minimum requirement for mineral feed, so we're going to get some of that in the bucket now. That is one of the changes that I made to the animal food additions I'm running on here, is that we have to put mineral feed in for the cows. It's been a while since I mixed this, so I think we go for about 1,000 litres. I'm hoping that we will see, in fact I'm pretty much expecting from the chat with Alien Pool, we will see all of these features in Maize Plus when it comes to FS22. If you're curious about that, I've got some short videos on here which give a summary of the streams Paul and I have been doing on his channel, which has stopped now because they are focusing on getting Maize Plus ready for FS22. And there we go, we have TMR. So I do need to get the sheep some hay as well. And I also need, let's go do that first. Because cows need cleaning as well. So I'm going to get the cows sorted in this bit, and then we'll do a time lapse for the spreading, I think. Videos. I'm assuming that there might be new people watching this, so the cows on here drop manure as waste rather than silage, which I think is really cool. And that's good enough for me. So, and the main manure heap is inside, which we will need to clean out, but I am keep a supply here. There we have our fermented compost that we made a little while ago from all of the headlands and things, which we're going to be spreading today. I'll use the JCB to load that up rather than this little Ford. JCB has a much bigger bucket, and that was a bad plan. Because we need to get a hay bale. Yeah, there we go. Didn't work very well, did it? So yeah, I'm on here running sheep cows and horses with Maize Plus, with my own edit of the animal food edition. So we'll go over to the sheep and you see what they get to eat. I did cover a fair bit of this in the start of the series. So I'm so used to FS19 menus now. So the sheep have grass, clover, alfalfa silage, and then grass, clover, hay, or alfalfa hay or clover hay. They have a silage bale sat there because that kind of works. Probably going to take the hay bale back, I think. We also have some pallets of sheep feed here that are part of Maize Plus, which is set up to cover their feed requirements. And obviously because we're running seasons, we don't have wool yet. So I do need to keep an eye on the sheep for when they're going to lamb, because we need to put in another pen, because there isn't space for the lambs. So I'm going to put this bale off to the side so that I don't try and use it in TMR. Right, and let's get the cows fed, and then we'll get into the more serious work. I'm quite liking this Strautmann self-propelled mixer. Be even better once we've got silage in the pit and we can use the pickup on the front. Tip side, right, yep. Okay, I'm not sure how many will take all of this. They were pretty short of feed. I do like the feature in 22 where the animals come as you feed them. Whereas ours are just randomly walking around out in the pasture. I'm going to call that good enough. I might do another mix and feed them again later in the day. So I'll park the feed mixer over here for a change. Until recently, I brought more cows, didn't I? Before that, one mixer would do a couple of feeds. So we'll leave that here, and future me will be back with you when we do a whole load of spreading poop. Starting off, we are going to spread actually we're going to put some fuel in the JCB, and then we're going to spread some of the slurry that we have. We've got a reasonable supply in. This tractor was a little small for the slurry tanker in the end. I think we should have probably gone with the Fendt 700 series. Would have been probably more appropriate, but it did the job. The JCB did the job. This field is a mess, and it ends up staying a mess, but we do improve the nitrogen quite a lot. So I'm setting the level based on the fact that I'm probably going to swab lift this field, or most of the fields, to be honest. As soon as the ground thaws, we'll probably do a bunch of that on course play. But it is nice to start getting some nitrogen in the ground on the map, because we've had a real issue with needing to fertilise our fields. Decided to drop the dribble bar off. We don't really need it for this, so it will just make manoeuvring that a little bit easier, because the farm and the fields are all quite snug, and it has about the same working width, so we're going to go without it and just get most of the fields sorted. Managed to tackle all of the grass fields and at least one of the other fields with the compost that we've got in the bunker. So we're going to spread slurry, digestate and compost today. I had forgotten that you couldn't spread manure, so we do have a little issue there later on. I also had an issue that I did a whole load of this and didn't hit save, so I had to redo it. So things might look a little bit different later in the video because I kept the footage and just got back to the same place, but I think I did things slightly differently in terms of what I put on what field and what levels, but it's all about the same. So this is going to be a clover field when we can plough it in and replant it. So I'm only adding about 40 units of nitrogen to this because clover only needs 60 for an optimal level. So just bringing it up a little bit, and then when we plough this crop in, that should get us all the way up there. That's the plan. Missing precision farming in FS22 a lot. So this field is going to be field grass, I think, or horse grass or something like that. I might be staying as grass. I do have a cheat sheet next to me, so that's why that was getting a lot more nitrogen. And we're now on to digestate. I've used all the slurry that we had. We have a fair bit of digestate, so we did that big silage harvest early on purely to stick through the VGA to get digestate. Obviously it gave us some cash as well, but the digestate was very useful. So I was using the last of the slurry on field 45. When I redid this, I did it slightly differently, so we used digestate on field 45, so we didn't run out, and we actually managed to finish that field. I do finish it in this video, in this bit, but I think I finished it with digestate, so you know, it works out. This field is going to be field grass, I think. This is going to be the one we can combine. It's a very small field, but I'm just experimenting with all the different options. Partly to keep myself fresh on Maize Plus ready for FS22, and partly because it makes it more interesting. So, just getting through the digestate. I think we're getting fairly low now. We have a couple of big fields that are staying as grass still to do, and those will be getting spread with compost. So there's the big grass field just the other side of the farm, and the more remote field. So I'll do a really bad job of backing this on to the dribble bar. So the reason I forgot to save is I was basically falling asleep as I finished recording this, and it meant I forgot to hit save. So yeah, don't sleep and FS19, I guess, is the message there. So we have manure loaded into the spreader at the moment because I forgot that you can't spread manure when the ground is frozen. You can spread compost, don't ask me. So we've done some magic to unload the spreader, and we'll load it up with compost. We have loads of it, so we'll get to work with that. The big biobelts bucket means we can fill the spreader in about 3 bucket loads, which is quite nice. Makes it quite quick to get things loaded up. And we'll be getting through a fair bit of this because these two fields need a heavy dose of nitrogen, and the closer we can get it to where it needs to be at this point, the better, because we'll be quite busy in spring, I think, because we have a lot of grass fields to replant and a few fields of crops to sort as well. So sticking this up at plus 160 units of nitrogen, so getting a nice high level of fertilization on the field. I think grass needs somewhere between 160 and 200 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare, so it's getting us most of the way there. And it's not using too much compost, given this field is a little bit dry relative compared to our other fields. So yeah, not too bad. It's my first time doing a lot with compost. I used it on Shellington, but I had precision farming on there, but yeah, I was just buying it in bulk and didn't really pay attention to how we were using it. It was just another source of fertilizer, and we weren't manually loading it at that point either. But yeah, enjoying doing this, and still enjoying playing Bergisch land, although I know it's getting a lot less views. So and so is West Texas. It's making me quite tempted to wrap up West Texas, if I'm honest. That video got some less than 20 views, I think. Less than half of what my FS22 videos are getting these days. So yeah, I'm quite tempted to pull the pin on that series and focus on something else. I think. I'm not sure yet, but I am considering it. So let's get another load of compost in the spreader, and that should finish off this last field of grass anyway. I do field 49 as well, because we have plenty of compost still. And as soon as spring comes, I'll do the same thing as I did last time, and we'll run around all the headlands and all the Bergisch and things, and get ourselves some grass to put in the pit to make into compost. That seemed to work really well last time, running a mower on the front and the loading wagon on the back. And we're going to be producing so much grass that we're going to have too much, so we can probably compost some of the other grass products as well, I think. Will probably be a sensible option. We still have an issue with a shortage of wood chips, which I need to address. Whether we buy some through the winter, I might do that. So yeah, just hitting this field with a bit of nitrogen as well ahead of it having a crop in next year. So obviously we've got the OSR in here as well, so that will add some nitrogen when we cultivate that in come summertime. So I'll just leave you with a bit of music playing. So thanks for watching, folks. If you enjoyed the video, then give me a comment, give me a like, ignore the crash, subscribe if you're enjoying the stuff that I'm doing, and I'll catch you next time on Bergisch Land.